Rebellions are built on hope.
Incoming transmission. Radio Rebellion.
Welcome to another episode of Radio Rebellion, a Star Wars podcast. I'm your host, Alberto Calderon, and thank you as always for joining us on another great Star Wars weekend. How are you guys doing out there? It's been a fun week in Star Wars. A lot of stuff out there. The Bad Batch just came out yesterday, the latest episode. We're 2 episodes away from the end of season 1. We don't know if there's going to be a season 2. I'm guessing. It's very strange they're only going to do one season. So we'll probably do at least another one, maybe 2 or 3. I don't know. We'll find out. But we're going to be talking about all the Star Wars news that happened in July. A lot of Star Wars news this past month. The last 4 episodes of the Bad Batch. And we have a great guest that we're going to spend some time with him. He's a friend of the show. He's been here in the chat. It's great to have him here, just talking with him a little bit. But how are you guys doing? Any Star Wars activities for you out this week? For me, we were out last week, took a week off because the weekend before I was able to go to Galaxy's Edge. There's a short video about 25 minutes that I posted last week. So if you guys haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. 25 minutes. I talk about just my time there. Just exciting, tremendous time being in Galaxy's Edge finally after 2 years or 3 of it being open. And me living so close here in Florida, 2 hours and 50 minutes away, I had to make it over there. So I was able to go last week and had a great time. So go ahead and check that video out. I'll put a link to it over here at some point later. But yes, it's all about the High Republic. Out of the Shadows by Justina Arlan. It came out last week or this week on Tuesday. I just been reading that this whole week. I'm about almost 300 pages in, so reaching the last third of the book. Next week, we have Meg Dowell from Followers of the Force, Project Stardust. She does a lot of stuff out there. She's going to be here next week, and we're going to dive deep into Justina Arlan's Out of the Shadows. So if you guys haven't read it, go make sure you read that before you join us next week. Great book. Some of my favorite Jedi make their appearance here. Some of my favorite characters. There's a lot of now. Anyway, I won't spoil it for you guys. That's next week, so make sure to tune in. And I also have a Test of Courage back there at some point that our friend Oti from El Podcast of Star Wars sent us. So I should have read that first because there's something that happens in that book that's referenced in Out of the Shadows, but I couldn't wait. I had to jump into Out of the Shadows. I'm happy that I did. So how are you guys? Again, if you're reading the High Republic Wave 2, let me know. Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comment. Or if you're listening to this later on the audio podcast, just send me a message on Twitter or come back to the video and let us know. Especially for all the news that we're going to be talking about today, let us know in the chat, comments, Twitter, wherever, all your thoughts on all the latest Star Wars happenings. And the Bad Batch, of course. Some people love it. Some people are kind of resisting against it. So Star Wars for everyone. So that's what we like to say here. If you don't like something in Star Wars, there's something else coming along that'll hopefully catch your eye or catch your attention. But if you're here, thank you. Make sure that you like this video either now, later, at the end. Doesn't matter. Just hit that thumbs up button. Shouldn't take you more than 2 seconds. And comment, like I said before, and subscribe. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And if you're listening to this on the audio podcast, which you can find on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, everywhere, make sure to leave us rating and review. We like seeing those. So I think that's it. Let me check real quick who's here before. No, I'm gonna bring my guest in. We'll do that later. We'll check who's in the chat and say hi to the chat. But let's bring our friend. Oh man, I'm so happy that this guy is here today. We're gonna be talking with him about a lot of Star Wars stuff, but I think you know who it is. He's a great artist, Star Wars fan, the one, the only Roberto Venegas. Oh, look at that art. So yes, Roberto, how are you doing?
Hey, thank you for having me on your show. It's finally glad to be on your show. So
No, man. I didn't want to say it before when we were talking a little bit before we started, but I'm always surprised a little bit when people not want to come on the show. If I ask people to come on the show as guests, because I'm just a guy talking Star Wars, so I always like when people show up. But you're not just a guest here. You've been fan of the show. You've been on the chat constantly, left us comments. So that's even more. I get so overwhelmed sometimes. Oh, there's people out there that enjoy the show. So thank you for being here, and thank you for always supporting us.
Yeah, there's so many like fantastic podcast shows out there, and it's hard to kind of keep track of everything. But I like the fact that yours takes place on Saturday because it kind of allows me a little bit of time, and also the concept that you bring, the guests that you bring is just like really entertaining to kind of like tune in. So whenever I can, I try to make sure that I always try to catch the show live.
Yeah, thanks. And again, I appreciate it completely. And I understand there's so many great Star Wars podcasts out there and YouTube channel. It's hard to keep track of everyone and to go week on, week off to listen to every show or whatever, because I'm at fault. I follow a lot of podcasts out there. They're great. I can't find the time to listen to everyone. So it kind of depends what topic are they talking about. So I can jump in and check that out. So like I mentioned, every time that someone's on the chat or leaves a comment or whatever, always glad. So again, thank you. Thank you. So yeah, let's see who's here. Our friend, as always, Dale Erdman. Thanks for being here. Rachel, how you
Hey
doing,
Dale, Rachel.
Yeah, if you haven't, Rachel was here a few weeks ago. We went deep talking about Rebel Rising, Rogue One, Gene Erso. It was a great show. She made me see Gene and everything and that story in a different way. So thank you for being here as always. Rogue One, standing by. Of course, your other friend Kate, Vader Girl 28. Thanks for being here. They're saying hi to you also. Let me not just take all the praise or sentence. And our friends, Emotional Evolution, hi, and obviously Subdued, thank you for being here. Thanks to everyone. It's gonna be a fun show. Everyone's here. You've seen the show before. We'll take it easy here. So yeah, Roberto, again, thanks for being here. And let's start, because a lot of us started following you and knew you about because of your Star Wars fan art out there. But what got you into art design, and just making this part of your life, basically, of your career, I guess?
Oh wow, that's growing up, I always kind of had this ability to draw, and I got that from my father.
Yeah.
But it's something that I never really spent time in growing up because I was always busy running around. It wasn't until like later in life, in my mid-20s, when I don't know, I felt like I needed to do something more with my life. So then I started focusing on art, and that's when it started to become more than just a hobby. It became a passion, and that's when I started like thinking, I want to take this further. And I tried teaching myself, but there were just some things I didn't really understand, and that's when I decided to go to school. And then that's when when I went to school. That's when art started to. I don't mean art, but I mean Star Wars started to come into my life. So that's when The Force Awakens came out, and The Last Jedi, and Rogue One, and all those three movies were, key parts that threw me into the Star Wars universe. And it wasn't until like after I was done with school that I actually finally had time to do fan art, which it was never a priority before to do fan art. But I went through a little bit of a hard time in my life after school, and it was Star Wars fan art that kind of like got me out of a little bit of a depression, and it brought joy into doing art again. Because at that point, there was a month, at the stretch of a 3-month period where I wasn't doing art. I wasn't even touching it. And it wasn't until I started doing fan art that I just fell in love with art again. And that's how it all started, doing Star Wars fan art.
So we'll come back to it, but it still relates to what you just mentioned. I was watching your appearance a few weeks ago with Chase on That Gay Jedi on his show, and you were talking about your Star Wars trajectory, which it's funny because we're similar age. We grew up with the original trilogy, watching that at home, and then you told him your whole kind of trajectory, and we want to hear about it. But then, like you mentioned, it wasn't, even though you were a fan and knew Star Wars from before, it wasn't until the sequel trilogy and all those movies that started coming out that kind of got you back into Star Wars and just fan art, like you mentioned, the fandom to the point where you're here now on a Star Wars show, which is interesting because for people like us, it's, oh, we grew up in the 80s, so we're original trilogy guys. We've always loved Star Wars. I love hearing from people that even though we're similar in age, maybe similar backgrounds, they didn't get to Star Wars till 20, 30 years afterwards.
Yeah.
The younger people got with Clone Wars and Rebels. And that's why we say Star Wars. It doesn't matter if you love Star Wars from 77 or with the Bad Batch, you're a Star Wars fan, because you can't, it's not, I don't know, there's something in Star Wars that will grab you. It can be 30 years ago, it can be yesterday. And that's what's great about Star Wars, this story that through 30, 40 years, there's still something that's going to grab a hold on us. But, and I don't want you to repeat yourself because you just talked about it a few weeks ago, but can you go a little bit your Star Wars story from when you first watched it to when, like you mentioned, the sequel trilogy came out and then it got you into fan art and being this, going deep diving into Star Wars, I guess.
Oh, yeah. It's funny because we grew up in, like you mentioned, we grew up in a similar time where, Star Wars was kind of like really, I don't like the phrase dead, but it wasn't really going on because it was when I started realizing what movies were and things like that. It was really at a young age that's when I saw the first Star Wars movie, when I realized what movies were, but I didn't quite understand them. And I remember that scene where Vader choked Admiral Veers. That memory is imprinted in my head. I remember where I was sitting in my grandparents' living room in this big 70 style TV that had like a record player in it and all that stuff. But after that, it was like there's
nothing.
Really nothing. Yeah, there was nothing. I know. So it's a little bit weird for me when I hear sometimes people talk about it that Star Wars was in their life constantly, that are near my age, because it wasn't the same for me. It wasn't the same for my friends. My friends, they knew Star Wars, they liked it, but it wasn't the thing that everybody gravitated to. So, and I went through the whole prequel time. I was really excited. We stood in line. We were talking about what we were expecting out of the trilogy, but they were fine. They were fine as movies. It wasn't something that held my attention, especially when other movies like The Matrix and all those movies were coming out that were a little bit more, I guess, aimed towards us, towards I guess young adult, 20s, 19. I don't know. I don't remember how old I was, but it wasn't until The Force Awakens, because that movie felt like a roller coaster to me. It from start to end, I felt like it captured the original feel of the movies, of the Star Wars movies, and it captured it in such a fun way that I felt was really unexpected with these new characters, that I absolutely loved it. And it wasn't until The Last Jedi that everything kind of changed for me. It became something that I really liked, and I really wanted. I knew that I really liked it, and I was a fan of it. But The Last Jedi was the movie that kind of pushed me over the edge, and it became an obsession. It was strange, because I was going to school and all of a sudden I'm thinking about The Last Jedi. All of a sudden somebody mentions Star Wars up in the corner. I'm turning to see who it is that I could talk to about it. And it was such a hunger in me to want to know more about the books, want to know more about the originals, want to know more about the prequels, that it changed my views towards some of those movies, because it wasn't like I said in the other show, it was more like history now. This
Yeah.
was part of a bigger universe that I didn't quite saw it that way when the prequels came out, and so it was a really really life changing moment from the Last Jedi and on, and yeah, it's just been fun to get to know a lot of these characters and express those characters through my art.
Okay. And was there anything specific from the Last Jedi that you say, okay, I get it now, or this is it. This is what I want to focus on? Because, and I'll mention some of my Star Wars kind of trajectories a little bit similar. But was it something about, because you mentioned you saw the Force Awakens roller coaster got you back into it, but then the Last Jedi came out, and we all know that movie
Mhm.
very polarizing for a lot of people out
Mhm.
there. Was there anything specific about the Last Jedi that really grabbed you?
It was, it was really Luke and Ray's moments, because I felt it was okay. So it was Ray because she's my favorite character, but it was also Luke because of his story. Since being familiar with the original movies, the original trilogy, seeing this Luke that's kind of a little bit fallen from the grace that he was in. So, and seeing how much he's changed from the Luke that we thought we knew was something that was relatable because, being a sports fan, you kind of see your heroes kind of diminish as they get older. So
Yes,
there was some truth into that.
yes, that saying that never meet your heroes, right?
Exactly. And that I thought it tied so well with what was going on with Ray and Ben, that and how it tied to the rest of the movies, that was the thing that kind of like just blew my mind because I wasn't expecting the whole movie. I wasn't expecting the way it went, and it kept me at the edge of my seat. But I think that was the key thing that I kind of related to the most.
Yeah. I mean, I've said it here. Last Jedi is not my favorite movie, and I don't go that polarizing like people. It's the best one, or if you suck if you like that. I love a lot about that movie, and Luke and Ray are some of my favorite parts. Everything on Acto is great because yeah, it does make sense that after 30 years being this hero to everyone, that Luke's world comes crashing down. Of course, he's going to kind of act that way, and then needing Ray to be the one to bring him back up because she's been looking, oh, the legend of Luke Skywalker, the myth, and then finally meet him, throw the saber out, and then she, dude, come on, we need you, your sister, and all this. So I do understand that part. So let's here we have our friend Andres Ramirez is writing. Love hearing from folks who came back into the fandom from the sequel trilogy. JJ knows how to reboot a franchise, Star Trek, and Ryan made such a trippy film with The Last Jedi, which is true. Say, love it or hate it, it is a different type of Star Wars movie, and there's a lot of the core Star Wars themes in there. So I do remember the prequel trilogies when they were coming out in '99. So similar to yourself, I grew up with the originals. Was first thing that I watched were those. But as you start going from a young kid, being 10, teenager, late teens, there's no Star Wars. So, and I didn't have that, like you mentioned, people, it's always been in my life, I always go back to it. Yeah, I had the VHS at home, but I didn't watch them every time. They came in on TBS or TNT, I would watch them. I watched Star Trek, The Next Generation. That was my sci-fi kind of fix.
Yeah.
And then for me, it was when the original trilogies were re-released late 90s. That's where I fell in love with them again. But 1999 came out, the Phantom Menace is coming out. I loved it because it was Star Wars. But then the Matrix comes out the same year, and that kind of changed movie making. So it went what Star Wars did in 77, the Matrix did a few years later when Attack of the Clones comes out in 2002. That's when Two Towers comes out for the Lord of the Rings. And then I love you, Star Wars, but Two Towers was heads above Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. So those 3 years were all Lord of the Rings for me. And then when the sequel trilogy was announced, I'm like, I'm excited, but I'm scared. It's been so many years and they still get it. The MCU is the thing that everyone's kind of falling in love with. Guardians of the Galaxy just came out and changed it also for sci-fi, but then The Force Awakens came, and I love that movie. It's my favorite one of the sequel trilogy and one of my favorite Star Wars movie. And Rey became one of those characters that I gravitated to, and you mentioned is your favorite character. So using Rey as a way to then move to our next topic, talking about your art, and I'm gonna show this real quick if you don't mind. Is this art?
Go ahead.
I think it's We Are the Spark, and has Rey in the middle with a bunch of characters around her. So, what's your process first when you're gonna do something like this with all these amazing characters? Do you sketch it out first? I love drawing. I like drawing. I took art classes in high school. Sorry, I cut you off there. And it was a pencil and a paper. That's how I like to draw. I tried doing some with on the computer with a little pen. I can't. I don't know. What's your process, just when you're creating art, and then for something like this one, how does it go from your mind to what we see, this end result?
Oh, that's a good question, because these big pieces like We Are the Spark, Thank the Makers, and the most recent one, Together Again. They don't
worry.
But they don't start as this big idea or this big concept. They usually start with a small idea, and while I'm working on it, it grows to be something bigger. But like We Are the Spark, it just really started with that centerpiece, because I just wanted to put these female characters that really never met each other, Lakshmi, Leia, and Padme and things like that, where most of them haven't met each other. Just wanted to put them in a scene together, and that little idea, it started to grow with, well, maybe I could add some Jedi, in the background, and then if I'm gonna add a Jedi, I'm gonna add the pilots, because they also need recognition.
Sure.
And so I remember when I was doing it, I wasn't familiar with a lot of these characters, so I put it out on Twitter. Hey, can you guys name me like female characters to add? And people just came out of the woodwork to help me with that. And I had to research every one of them. And that's where a lot of my art sometimes kind of helps me get to know the universe through researching characters. And that's how this thing came to be. It was something that just grew over time, because I felt bad leaving characters out.
And it's no, finish up.
No, that's
So it's great for myself, which of course I know Star Wars, I know all the characters. When I see a piece like this, because as Star Wars fan, we want more representation out there. We want more female characters. And then we find out there's a lot of female characters out there. Unfortunately, a lot of them are background characters or don't get a lot of recognition. But they are there, and a lot of people love them. And something like this, like We Are the Spark, there's so many great characters that you just start focusing on different ones. So you have the Jedi, everyone with Rey, all the mothers, and then the pilots to one side, the senators on the other. And it's this Easter egg kind of game. Who can I find? And then, of course, you get, you miss one from whatever, from this book that you've never heard of. You just miss one. But again, it's so great. But I want to jump to this one. This one is, I think, one of my favorite of yours. And I want to know, when it might be the same process that you mentioned. Are you looking for some type of an emotional connection when you're deciding on these pieces and who to add? And I'm talking, you can talk in general, but with this one, the throne, with Darth Maul and all the evil that he has brought. I love this piece so much, but are you looking for some emotional connection when you're trying to decide? And then for this one, how did you decide where to put each character, especially the ones on the bottom, kind of holding up the throne and Maul? How do you decide how to go through all this?
Oh, that's a great question. Especially, yes, I am always looking for the emotional connection, because that what holds me that's what holds my attention to complete a piece, because otherwise, why am I spending so much time if I'm not even invested?
Mhm.
And something like that, it is an investment. I'm spending a lot of time on that, and the way it's very similar process to what I mentioned, that it just started with the idea started with Darth Maul sitting kind of evil in a chair, and then it feels like when I'm doing that, sketching it, it feels like something's missing.
Mhm.
And then I started thinking about his past and what does it, and who is he, and the people that he kind of tortured.
Mhm.
And that's when I started thinking about the characters, adding characters, kind of like a Marvel statue type of thing.
Yeah.
And the way I organize it is what makes sense. What are the moments that Darth Maul really would really like be proud of himself
Yeah,
for.
exactly. Yeah.
And so that put the piece where Kenobi is holding Qui-Gon, because I think that is the moment that he cherished the most, because he got Kenobi, his master. He killed his master right in front of him. There's nothing more triumphant than that. And to kill his girlfriend, or quote unquote girlfriend, it's above him. Like, it's another dagger to his enemy. But the thing that I like the most is putting his brother above all, because Savage Opress, because that to me is the most tragic story of his life. That this is his brother. This is somebody that technically he should love, but I don't think he has the capacity to really love. So, but when you watch the show, you see that he struggles with his death a little, as much as he can. But I think it really represents how fallen he is, and how how much this character is unfixable. As I know people love Maul and think he's a baby, or I don't know what the term is, but there's really nothing anybody can do to help him, and he's this fallen character that could have been something more.
I think Maul is, there's always someone on Twitter that will gravitate to those guys, but Maul is one of those characters that you feel for them, and you want to root for them, that, come on, you can get over this hump, but he's his own worst enemy. A lot of people have said it. He's right there. He can if he wants, but his greed and his avarice for power will always kind of come before everything, like loving his brother. He can't kind of get over himself, I guess, at some point. But I love that piece so much, because even though I love Maul, everything he has done has hurt someone. Like you said, just killing Qui-Gon, and the way he then just taunts Obi-Wan, that's kind of his proudest moments, or the first one that said, yeah, you and I, we're going to have a long history together. So it was great seeing that one. But then you mentioned Together Again, which is this piece you've been kind of teasing for a long time now. I'm sure it's taken you months and months. When you finally, I guess, when did you decide that this is what you wanted to do? And then when you finally finished it and posted it out there this week, that you were kind of, okay, it's done, I can finally relax?
This piece, this piece was such a burden, but a good burden. But this piece actually came from the idea kind of came from the Maul piece, because I remember when I was working on Maul, I was researching Marvel and how light reflects off things like that. And one of the pieces that came out was the Pietà, Michelangelo's Pietà. And I remember after, I've been wanting to do a piece of Padme for a while, and I didn't know what. So I was just sketching, and I was sketching, trying to find some ideas. And I for some reason, I think I sketched Padme sitting down, and kind of similar to Maul. And I was just like, I'm just repeating myself. And then the Pietà came into mind, and then that's when that idea of Padme became more of Anakin. And that was and again, like all my other pieces, it was just that idea. But I'm always, like I said, I'm always searching for more meaning, more connections, and to make a piece a little bit better. When you see the Pietà, you see it in a church. You see it where there's lots of mural paintings, fresco paintings. You see it with stained glass because of the church. So there's lots of art and there's lots of story usually around it. So that's where that idea came about, to put Anakin's story in this stained glass. And it took so long because it wasn't something that I don't usually plan out everything. I usually just kind of go and try to figure it out and try to put as much as I can that makes sense. I wanted to make this a beautiful stained glass, kind of mural. And so I tinkered away with the details, making sure that everything was right, making sure that everything made sense, making sure that the characters, it represents what I wanted to represent. And I'm just so happy that when I posted it, people responded well to it. And it's always very shocking when a piece does well. I guess for the lack of words.
Yeah. Was there ever a time where you thought, "Oh man, I might have bitten off more that I could chew with this piece"?
Always with the mall, with women, We Are the Sparks, and especially with this one, because one thing that I struggle with is I don't try to make. I always try not to make busy pieces, but sometimes you just kind of, it's the idea, it's a strong, and so you just kind of have to bite the bullet. And when I have to do that, I have to find a way to make it a little bit more not as busy, and have it to read the way I want it to. And having a stained glass effect, that means a lot of colors, and I don't want that to overwhelm what the centerpiece of the art, the focal point. And so sometimes I would struggle with the colors. I would constantly shift and try to find the right colors in order for it to work with the whole piece itself. And that was something that was always very, very time consuming.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. And it's something, because there's so much that you can focus on here, but you still come back to that centerpiece of Padme, of course, with that great dress from the Phantom Menace. Anakin in the Darth Vader, which I would have thought, yeah, it'll be Anakin from Revenge of the Sith, but seems him with a Darth Vader costume. And I just love the lightsabers. For some reason, I gravitate to those, especially the two that Padme is holding, Ben's and Rey's. I don't know. There's something about that. How did you decide which lightsabers to put in her hand, and then both of Vader's lightsabers and Anakin's on the floor? How do you decide who was going to be holding which lightsaber?
Because that's again a quick man with the good questions. That one was to me, with Rey, with Leia and Luke's saber. It was important for me to have Anakin hold them, because he really never got to meet them together. Yeah. He did meet them, but not as father and kids.
Sure.
Maybe, you can make an argument for Luke, but he never got to be. Yeah, it's not the same. He didn't get to be the father that you saw that he wanted to be in the prequels. But so it was important for me to kind of hold that, to make that connection between them. And in a way, it's kind of like saying he's proud of them, and he's sorry for what he became. Yeah. And for Padme, I needed to put Ben and Rey's saber in her hand, because they represent the future. Everything that Padme worked for the Senate was for the good of the people, was for the future of the Republic. So what represents the future then, her grandson and her, I guess technically granddaughter, because she's Skywalker, adopted. Yeah. but yeah, they represent the future. Especially Rey represents the future of the Jedi Order, and so I think that connection I felt was strong with her than with Anakin holding those lightsabers.
Sure. Yeah, and then you finally let out a huge sigh of relief when you were finished, posted out. And like you mentioned, that reception has been great to it and well deserved. But I want to get to this one because I think if it was me, I would still be in shock because we love Star Wars. I like writing. That's not what I do, but it's one of my passions. I like writing. I've written different books and I always have in the back of my mind, oh, what if someone wants to buy the rights and make a movie of this book or whatever? But you have this piece called Thank the Maker. And you had a certain email coming from a certain head of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, kind of talking about this. So what was that like? First, when you saw that email, this is a scam, something's going on. How was that process, and are you still processing it?
In some ways, yeah. Well, this, just to be clear, this isn't Kathleen Kennedy that emailed me. It was the PR department at Lucasfilm. But it was while I was in vacation in Oregon, in Eugene, Oregon, and I got a direct message on Twitter from one of the PR people that sent me an email. So I was like, okay. So I looked it up and I read it, and I was floored that Kathleen Kennedy saw it and that she wanted to relay a message that she appreciated it and things like that. And it was just mind blowing. I still sometimes throughout the day, I or every once in a while think about, Kathleen Kennedy saw it and she wants a print. It's absolutely crazy. I think at some point I gave up that she would see it. Like she wouldn't see it, because I think enough time has passed that that art would probably get buried, and she'll probably never see it. But it just floors my mind, and the fact that she wanted me to let me know that she appreciated it was a fantastic and appreciative part on her behalf. It's kind of it's out of this world, especially when it's somebody that's on top of Lucasfilm. Yeah.
Do you still have that email? Go once in a while and read it again? And it happened.
I won't lie, I read it yesterday. You have to. You have to. It's kind of like if Mark Hamill was to tweet you, or people. Yeah, you see people, cool actors or writers or directors comment on people's, and you think, and they lose their mind. So it's the same thing for me right now. I'm losing my mind. It's something that is surreal and very, very unexpected.
Yeah, when I sometimes post something about the High Republic, for example, and an author will like it or comment back and this is it, I'm part of Star Wars now, everything. So I can imagine if someone that is involved in Star Wars replies to you, but then you have the head of Lucasfilm, kind of like you mentioned, just okay, she saw it, she appreciated it enough to send me a message or through her PR, and then they want a print of this. Has to be as an artist, not just as a fan, because of course as a fan will be elated, but also as an artist to be okay. It's been recognized by someone out there, so it's kind of that double gratification, I guess, right? As a Star Wars fan and also as an artist.
Oh, very much so. Especially, I think at this point, because it's more of the as a Star Wars fan, that kind of I'm more happy about than as an artist, because this is she's somebody that through her work has shaped me. We've been through the Indiana Jones, the E.T., the Gremlins, and all those movies that she helped produce. And so to just have this moment where she says, yeah, I see it and I like it and I want it, it's a surreal moment that I don't think I could would ever live down.
Yeah, I'm sure you won't. And I'll finish this one. We'll keep moving. I'm guessing you talked to your family, talked to your wife. The reaction was over the top, or okay, that's fine.
My wife was really happy because she knows how much work I put into a piece like this. She's seen me. She sometimes helped me because I, as an artist, sometimes when you work on something so long, you become blind to some things.
Sure.
So she points out things. She helps me, like, make the image better. But yeah, she was really happy and overjoyed. Yeah, it's such a wonderful thing to experience something like this with somebody that that supports you, and
Yeah.
she's been 100% supportive throughout this whole thing.
Awesome. All right. I don't have a picture of it. I showed it at the beginning for your intro, but you also gave your art to the Kitana cast. They have a great fundraiser
Mhm.
out there for the Loveland Foundation. So yeah, if you want to talk a little bit about that, we have a link to it for people to go and support them. They're about a few $100s away from their goal, but that's, again, it's not just for us. We try to elevate others. I think this is mostly for people of color, woman of color, to
Mhm.
help them out from different depressions and things of that nature. So, how did you get involved in that part a little bit?
Well, yeah. You know, Ben, who's an awesome,
Yeah.
just an awesome person, came in contacted, just contacted me about it, and I was more than happy to kind of land it because it's such a good cause
Mhm.
to help other people, but also to kind of use my art to, for something, for a good cause. So, I was more than happy to lend my art, and I'll be more than happy to do it again if for a good cause. I've done it with the Katana cast. I also done it with Clashing Sabers, where they
Mm.
uh, I donated 2 or 3 prints. I don't remember, and they were raising money to buy books so they can give it to schools and things like that. Star Wars books, and I also did it for oh Star Wars. Sorry, I'm blanking on the names, but yeah, Star Wars, SWE.
Oh yeah.
I also they have a great thing going for them. If you know who I'm talking about, please go check them out, because they've also do a lot of work that it's very inclusive to characters of the LGBTQ and also characters that are minorities. So they're doing a fantastic thing. I did a little fundraiser with them um, for this Vegas fundraiser. So yeah, I'm more than happy to lend my work for a good cause, a
Yeah.
good to help other people. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that piece was the Cloud Riders, which has some great female characters in them, Enfys
Mhm.
Nest, Val, and some other great ones out there. So go check it out. There's a link in the description of this video to go help out the Kitana cast and the Loveland Foundation. So make sure to go support everyone. We need to
Yeah,
be
please
good
do.
with people. Come on. But you
Mhm.
not only do Star Wars, and we'll go through this quick because at some point we're gonna talk about what we came to talk about, which is Star Wars news and Bad Batch. But you don't only do Star Wars fan art. You have done different type of arts, not just Star Wars, Marvel, your own stuff, more, I guess, different
Uh,
styles that you play with. If people go to your website, they can check them out. So real quick, what other type of work can people expect from you?
Well, I'm current because the last piece took so long because I'm currently working on something on a special project with other people. I've been working on this for years now, and now
Oh,
we're in an exciting time where you know this is happening. And so hopefully in a few months we'll release something that'll give you guys an idea of what it's about, and hopefully you guys will support it because we're doing a Kickstarter for it as well. So because we need support, we want to make this thing, and I'm doing it with a lot of people that are different backgrounds. So I'm really excited about that. It's so I guess I should say it because it's a short animated film. So
oh,
uh,
nice.
so
Breaking news.
please, yeah, so follow and please support it. And So when you guys see it,
Yeah, we'll be sure to spread the message, support it. Again, Star Wars fans, we're all fans of this. So if we support you for Star Wars, we're gonna support you for your other ventures out there. So yeah, animated short, of course we're gonna. So keep an eye out for that. So
yeah.
all right, so I think we could keep talking about all your art out there, but I think we need to get into some Star Wars news out there. So if you guys are ready, I know I'm ready. Let's talk Star Wars.
Star Wars news.
And since it's the end of the month, it's month in review, and it's the end of July, July 31st. So let's talk some Star Wars news. Let me put some. There we go. Star Wars news, July in review. So biggest news out there, at least for myself, because I'm a huge High Republic fan, is Wave 3 of the High Republic was announced. Let me see, announced during Comic Con at Home Friday, the 23rd. The end of Phase 1 of the High Republic is approaching with the release of Wave 3 early in 2022. And then during an interview that was hosted by Christina Riel with the authors of the High Republic, the titles of the next set of books were announced, along with some more information about some late Wave 2 books. So we'll come into this in a minute. But have you been enjoying the High Republic, Roberto? Have you been reading, and where are you? You're still at the end of the Wave 1, Wave 2?
I finished Wave 1, but I haven't started Wave 2 because I'm still reading Jose Daniel's Last Shot.
Okay.
It's a fantastic book, but I'm halfway through it. Hopefully I'll finish it this week. But I'm so ready to get started on the Rising Storm. I hear a lot of people, thankfully I haven't got spoiled, but people are expressing some of their feelings about it, and oh man, I'm so excited.
Yeah, so Rising Storm, I don't think I've seen the main spoiler out there, but yes, there are feelings, and people are
Yes.
not happy with Kevin Scott. I mean, he
And
did great with this job. With
and
this,
that makes me so excited.
I know
Oh,
what's the same, but as you're reading, you're okay. This is it. Oh no, this is it. Oh, what's this it? So that I can't wait for you. And we did a review of it a few weeks ago with Arsu Amin and with Maggie Lovett. It's a great time with them. So after you read the book, go check it out. And for you guys
oh
out
yeah,
there,
absolutely.
but yeah, Rising Storm, that's something else. And then Out of the Shadows, which I'm reading now, it's great. And after this, I'm gonna read Daniel Jose older Crash Point Tower, Race to Crash Point Tower. So I'm still kind of midway through Wave 2. But they announced Wave 3 beginning of next year, and there's really no spoilers in this one. So we'll just go real quick through some of the titles that the authors are gonna be doing, and what we might expect, because that might spoil some of this stuff, but just give you guys out there an idea of what's coming. So the main ones are The Fallen Star by the great Claudia Gray. That's going to be the main adult novel. We have Charles Soules doing Eye of the Storm, which is going to be a Marvel comic highlighting the backstory of now leader Markion Rowe. Mission to Disaster, which is a middle grade by Josina Ireland. And then Daniel Jose Older is coming with a young adult book called Midnight Horizon that he describes as a chaotic mess. So the thing is, these titles, even though they don't spoil any of the story from Wave 2, they're not the best titles if you want a happy ending.
No, the Fallen Star title has me like wondering what the hell happened. Maybe you guys that read already the Rising Storm maybe have a better idea than I do, but that title itself is like, oh my god, what's that gonna be about?
Yeah. So first off is Claudia Gray, which, if you're a Star Wars book lover, she's always in the top of favorite authors. She's my favorite author. And a lot of the guys and girls, everyone from the High Republic, all those authors have gone up in my list because they have done great stuff with Star Wars. But there's something about Claudia Gray. And having her write something titled The Fallen Star after reading Rising Storm, which I don't think that title has anything to do with the Rising Storm. But there's what is it? The Fallen Star. A lot of people are talking, is this starlight beacon? Is it a Jedi that falls? Is it the Chancellor? There's so much that you can read into in this title. And then as you know, that a lot of the Jedi ended, spoilers for people out there, with Markion Rowe taking this Jedi Master with him, torturing him and all that. you know things are bad. Rising Storm, if you haven't read it, you've seen people out there having reactions to it. So these adult novels, they hit us hard. And I don't know, this is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, it's been an amazing start from the first wave, and now seeing the reaction to the second wave, and it just makes me wonder where are they going to leave off for the third wave. And that's the key thing that has me really curious. This is the end of the third wave. Where is the cliffhanger before they move on to the second wave?
Yeah,
I mean, to the second phase.
There's 3 phases, so it's going to be a full year of phase 1, ending in a cliffhanger. Something's going to break us, and there's still 2 more. And I don't have it here. I remember they had the titles for each phase, and they weren't great either. They weren't the most positive ones. Yeah, but what have you been enjoying most, if it's possible to answer in one with just one thing? What have you been enjoying most about the High Republic so far?
Oh, okay. It all comes down really to the characters, first and foremost. But beyond that is how different the Jedi are, how the different the Jedi Order is, exactly. And especially compared it to when we last saw them in the prequels. It's such a different take, and it's really, really, really exciting to see these characters be a little bit more loose and expressive, and maybe even have some relationships amongst themselves. Like I said, I still haven't gone into the second wave, but all that stuff is really, really interesting, and questions to Jedi Order from how did it go from this to that. And it's such an interesting spot. I think that's the thing that I'm enjoying, the world building.
Yeah, and I'm on the same boat. Jedi Order and the Force is my thing, and the High Republic does in such a different way from what it's different. It's familiar but different from what we know.
Yeah.
And if you like that part, the Rising Storm is gonna get you. And Jedi having been more loose with their morals, let's say, it's there. But in a way that's not I told you how. It makes sense for the era, and specifically for those characters. It makes sense, like you said, it all starts with characters, and it makes sense for those characters why they act certain ways. So I can't wait for you to get into Rising Storm and read all that. All right, so then we have, like I mentioned, Charles Soule is going to focus on Marchion Ro and his backstory, which is great. He's the big villain out there. There's a little bit in Light of the Jedi that he has some relationship, or his family has a relationship with the Jedi. Something happened between the Jedi and his family that has him angry. And this kind of also flows into Rising Storm. So I'm very interested to find out what that is. And this is coming from Charles Soule, which is one of the best doing comics out there for Star Wars. So this one has really interested. Are you liking Marchion Ro as a villain so far?
Yeah, I definitely am. And in the Light of the Jedi, towards the middle, I was like, okay, I don't see the appeal of Marchion Ro. But it was towards the end where you said everything came together. It was like, oh, okay, this isn't just a pawn. This is a queen, kind of like playing her role in the chess pieces. And so I'm really excited about this comic, and really excited that it's Charles Soule, because The Light of the Jedi currently is my favorite Star Wars book. So we'll see how he does it and how he takes it, and I can't wait to see who the artist is going to be. Hopefully, he'll capture the Marchion Ro-esque of him. And I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I know. And some of the other comics right now, the Marvel and IDW, have featured Marchion Ro. I haven't really gotten into the comics just because I don't have the time to read 20 other comics apart from the novels. But from what I've heard, they're very good. So, but having Charles Soule, who is the one that created this character, to now give us his backstory is going to be very interesting. Then we have, like I mentioned, Justina Arlan is going to be doing Mission to Disaster, which really no information was given for that one. And then she's also doing Edge of Balance, which is a manga style book that's coming that follows a new Jedi Knight, Lira Tora Asi. She's helping settle some refugees from this great disaster. So that's going to be an interesting one. That's still part of phase 2 of wave 2. So that's coming September 7th. And then Daniel Jose Older has 2, Midnight Horizon, which is this young adult novel. And then he also has a comic book called Tale of Shadows coming out that he describes as a noir detective comic, moody, dark, and complex, which is something we really haven't seen in Star Wars. it's going to be pretty interesting. And you're reading Last Shot, which has some sort of kind of detective, kind of noir thing.
A little bit, yeah.
They're chasing this guy that's doing weird thing with droids. So now he's going to be able to write that in a comic. But in the Star Wars with the Jedi, it's going to be very interesting also.
Yeah, I'm excited for all these. And I love that these are the same authors that are, working on phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, because it keeps it consistent. And all of them are fantastic. Christina Ireland, I read the Test of Courage, which I absolutely love. So, and I can't wait to see what Jose Alder does. This is exciting.
Yeah. So, Justina Ireland, someone that didn't read anything of her before. A Test of Courage was the first book I read from the High Republic, and I fell in love with the characters. Where Ezra and Thrawn is one of my favorite. She is focused heavily here on Out of the Shadows, and I just fell in love with that character. Still love her. So I can't wait again, like you said, to see what she does. Then also they're the same. And then Kevin Scott doesn't have a main book coming out for Wave 3, but he does have Monster of Temple Peak with Ty Yorick, which is a new character that you'll meet in The Rising Storm. It was set as a graphic novel, but then they divided into four comics, and that's coming out in a few weeks, actually, August 11th. And then Tempest Runner, which is this audiobook for Lorna D, this Tempest from Mark Monroe. That's going to be another exciting one. So very excited for what Kevin's going to be giving us in a few months. And that one comes out at the end of August. So August, 2 more books from Kevin Scott. So if you're reading now Rising Storm or going to get into Rising Storm soon, they have 2 more for Kevin coming in a few weeks. So if you love Star Wars, love the High Republic, I mean, we're being fed like the young people out there say.
Yeah, it's good. It's a wonderful time. This project is just amazing. This whole project.
It's something that I was extremely excited when it was announced as Project Luminous, but it has just blown it away, and everything so far has been great. So High Republic, man, if you're hesitant because, I like the EU, or I don't want to get into I don't know where to get into Star Wars books, I think the High Republic is a great place to start because it's fresh. You don't need to know any backstory, anything. Start from the first one with Light of the Jedi and just keep going from there. It's a great way to start. So I do recommend that way.
100% agree. Yeah.
All right. So another thing that was announced at the beginning of the month, actually, during an anime expo on, let me see what I have. I don't have the date right now, but it was our first look at Star Wars Vision. So it's this anime-inspired new Disney Plus Star Wars shorts. It's called Star Wars Vision. It's an anthology series that will be a non-canonical, but maybe some of the episodes might have tie a little bit. There's also a novel coming out called Ronin that ties to one of the episodes. All 9 episodes will be released in September 22nd on Disney Plus. We don't know if it's only one season or multiple. So Star Wars Visions is these 9 different manga studios out there doing 9, I believe, Star Wars shorts, animated shorts, which is mind-blowing to see Star Wars in this art direction. So when you first heard about Star Wars Visions, because this was announced a month ago when they did that big panel in December or something, were you excited about this? And then hearing the new titles coming out, is it get you more in the kind of the mindset for it?
Yeah, I'm a big animation fan, so this is something that is really up my alley. So when I mentioned it, I was really, really excited about it. But but there was a part of me that just I didn't quite comprehend what it meant until this came out, and it just looks absolutely stunning. It looks amazing and fun, and not only that, but the fact that I have like 9 different studios working on each on their own story I think is freaking genius, because it just to have many different anime styles in this one bag sounds amazing. I don't know why people would be upset over this. This is just fantastic.
Look at that. How can you be upset at an image like this?
Exactly.
It with a R2 droid wearing one of those straw hats. The lightsaber has a Sith sheath for this. It looks amazing, like you said. And I understand some people had, is it canon? Is it not? I think a story like this works better as not being part of any canon. It's 9 different studios with their own version of what Star Wars means to them or how they relate to it or whatever. And it just looks freaking awesome. And like you say, it's 9 different ones. So every episode is gonna have its own feel and its own kind of way of why the episode is there. It's not this one story throughout. So I think it's a genius way to go about it. Some of the titles that were announced, and I'll show a few more pictures, but they might not relate to the titles as I'm talking about. It's Tatooine Rhapsody, which is a rock opera that features Jabba the Hutt, Boba Fett, and a few others. So just sounds like a fun episode. One thing, we don't know if these are shorts, 5-10 minutes, 25. We don't know how long each episode is gonna be. Love and Ocho has a space bunny person, the village bride. This one sounds great. A fallen Jedi. She's a bride on her wedding day and an unexpected choice. Of course, Star Wars gives you unexpected choices. The twins, which is inspired by the original Star Wars twins, Luke and Leia, but here one of them is a Sith or one of them is on the dark side. The Elder, which is a master and apprentice story with a twist. Akakiri, described as a beautiful yet painful story about a princess. T0B1 is a droid who dreams of becoming a Jedi. Again, you need to bring people with different backgrounds to think of stories like this. Because who thinks of having a story about a droid that wants to become a Jedi? But it makes sense, and I don't know, it sounds awesome. And then these are my 2 favorite ones, just by the description. The Ninth Jedi, which is a story with 8 people trying to figure out if they are force sensitive, and the Jedi are legend at this point. And the final one, That Duel, which is a love letter to Star Wars, a samurai X, Jedi, and Sith, black and white with a splashes of color on certain elements, which I'm guessing is this one here. But apart from some of those titles and images that were kind of shown at the beginning of the month, is there any specific episode that really calls to you, or are you just waiting for all of them to come out?
Yeah, I'm waiting for all of them to come out. There's no specific thing that really attracts me because it just all sounds freaking amazing, from the droid to the twins to what they're doing. But the thing that I think I find interesting most is like, how is this, even though this isn't considered canon, how is this gonna influence Star Wars? How is it gonna like challenge it? How is it gonna expand on things differently than Lucasfilm would have originally thought? And is that going to bleed into canon? And are we going to see some of these characters down the line, maybe in actual canon? So I think this is just a really great example of just letting people do something and maybe down the line take a little bit from it. And I think that's just a great idea, to just have it be its own thing.
Yeah.
And let people run with it.
Yeah, I think there's one story that takes place after the sequel trilogy. I think I don't know which one it is, but that might be the one that's easiest to make it part of canon, because it's after what we just seen, so it kind of makes sense that you can just run with it. But yeah, some of these stories just sound very interesting, and the art behind them is great. Every studio, like we mentioned before, has a different style behind it, so everyone's going to have a different look. So can't wait for this September. What did I say? September 22nd or something? Yeah. All 9 are dropping at the same time. So really, really looking forward to Star Wars Vision, that when it was announced, we really didn't know anything about. But now seeing all those images, man, I can't wait.
Yeah, and I can't wait to people when these come out and people talk about it. I want to see what comparisons they make and what people really gravitate to.
Yeah. All right. And this is a little spoiler out there that, I mean, it's rumors. I do have it as a spoiler here, but the reason I'm going to talk about it, because it's things that we expect were going to happen anyways. There's a bunch of rumors out there for the Kenobi series. I first thought about talking about them, but they're just hearsay. I didn't want to, and they go too deep. But these are casting rumors for the Ahsoka Disney Plus show that's coming at some point next year. So we know in Mandalorian season 2, Ahsoka mentions Thrawn. Where's your master? Where's Grand Admiral Thrawn? If you talk about Thrawn, you gotta talk about Ezra. And if they're building an Ahsoka show, you know that these 2 characters are gonna show up at some point. And the biggest kind of rumor out there that a lot of us thought was going to happen was who's going to be playing this character. So we might not know where Ezra is at the moment, but we might know who's going to be playing Ezra. So this was reported, and I should put this up. There we go. This was reported by LRM Online Latino Review Movie. I believe it's online. That Mina Massoud will be playing the Jedi from Lothal that was last seen at the end of Star Wars Rebels, being pulled into hyperspace by Purgles, the space whales, and taking his adversary Grand Admiral Thrawn with him. And who might be playing Grand Admiral Thrawn? The actor who gave life and voice to him, Lars Mikkelsen, is supposedly also playing him in live action. So again, it's even though it's still rumors, I think these are they're gonna happen. You have to have Ezra and Thrawn in the Ahsoka show. And I said it here, I'll say it 9 months ago, whenever. I said there were the first rumors of Ezra being live action. I said, Mina Massoud. He played Aladdin brilliantly. Everyone says that Ezra is the space Aladdin. It just made sense. And for the time frame where this is happened, yes. And then Lars Mikkelsen did a great job with him as a voice actor. He's a great actor from the James Bond movies. And I mean, not James Bond. Where was he? I know I just blanked. But he was in House of Cards. He played one of the characters there and some other movies. But yeah, really excited about these castings. What are your thoughts about it? And do you want to see these characters in live action?
Oh, yes, absolutely. You know, yeah, like you said, if you saw Aladdin, you saw Ezra pretty much on screen already, and so I'm really excited for Mena to play Ezra, because if I want to see what he brings, I want to see what he does differently from Aladdin, because it's basically the same character, and I want to see him, stretch his acting muscles, which I'm really, really excited about it. So, but as far as Lars Mikkelsen playing Thrawn, I'm not familiar with this work, and I'm somebody that's not a big fan of like casting the voice actors for the show into live action. I'm more of a let the producers or directors cast who they want. But if this is who they chose for Thrawn, maybe they see something that we're not familiar or we don't see yet. So I trust them if this is the route they want to go. And but I'm really, it just makes sense to have Mina Masao as Ezra. I can't see anybody else playing him.
And there were a lot of people out there that could play this character, but I think, like you said, Mina Massoud, what he did in Aladdin kind of just prepared him for this role. And then Lars, for Thrawn, it's gonna be the makeup. It's all gonna be about the makeup. Are you just gonna splash blue paint on Lars, or it's gonna be CGI, a combination with the red eyes? Thrawn kind of is that different type of character, it's not just a blue painted human. I think the facial features of Lars Mikkelsen kind of allows him to play Thrawn. What I've seen about his acting, I do think he fits the profile of this cool, casual kind of political, even though Thrawn is not a political person. But I do think he can pull it off. But it's all going to be about the makeup and the design of Thrawn to see if it's believable and not just... I mean, they did it with Avatar, all these blue aliens out there. I think 20 years later, Star Wars can do something. But
that's true.
So, like I said, it's rumors still, and I have a fight always with Lucasfilm because I come from marketing background. My bachelor degree is in marketing, and my master's is in advertising. Not that I ever worked a single day in either. So my path took me a different way, but I have this problem with the way that they market and promote their shows. Sometimes they keep these mystery box so close to their chest, and then we have all these leaks and stuff. And telling people, hey, Ezra and Thrawn are going to be in a Ahsoka show is not a spoiler, because we know that these characters, that's the reason for the shows, is these characters. So why is this so much a secret? And why don't you just go up in front and tell us these are the people that are going to be playing those characters? Because that gets us talking in an official way. We don't have to put all these spoilers and stuff. So I don't know. Do you sometimes get frustrated, or do you think that it might be better for them if they kind of let loose a little bit when it comes to these types of announcements. Like everyone knew it, everyone that was
Mhm.
gonna show up in season 2 of Mandalorian, even though none of them were announced. Do you think might be better if they kind of come up front and say, no, of course, don't tell me Luke is coming, but if we know Boba Fett is gonna be there, or at least Cobb Vanth is gonna be, Ahsoka, okay, keep that a secret, but I don't know, be a little bit more open with what they're trying to do and the stories behind each of their shows.
Yeah, I absolutely agree because everybody knows Lucasfilm kind of at the PR kind. Well, they're they're not the best, but uh, yeah, I think in this case, Ezra is really well known, and if if you mention Thrawn, you're certainly gonna get Ezra. So this isn't a secret that should be really kept, and it's just gonna be in their favor to kind of just say it, to put it out there, and get people that are not familiar with
Mhm.
Star Wars and these characters to get them kind of interested. This is the actor that played Aladdin. That is
Yeah.
huge. So if this is true, then put it out there. Let the people that enjoy Aladdin, that enjoy his acting, that enjoy him as a person, to kind of be like, hey, interested in, and maybe in Star Wars, in this new Ahsoka show. So yeah, I think it makes sense to keep certain things, as a tight lid as possible, and other things you said towards their advantage. Use the actress that played, Bo-Katan.
That's
That
right.
would have
Yeah.
been that would have been a good thing to put out there because she's huge, and people know her and love her from Battlestar Galactica. So that's a name that would definitely benefit the Mandalorian from
Yeah,
the get go.
that was the one I was about to mention, is Bo-Katan. Tell us that Katie Sackhoff is going to be playing Bo-Katan in season 2 of The Mandalorian. We would have gone nuts. It was great seeing her. It was a surprise, but we knew that this season he was searching for Mandalorians. Tell us that one of the most famous Mandalorians out there from Clone Wars and Rebels is going to show up. We're going to go nuts and have Kathy promote this and not be all secretive. Come on, we have to. I don't, again, whatever. They're doing fine, but I think they should be a little bit more open so then we don't have all these rumors and wild speculations and clickbait articles out there. Just be a little bit more open.
Mhm.
But yeah, can't wait for the Ahsoka show, and I'm really happy for those castings. Again, rumors. Hopefully they're true. You'll see. We'll come back in 2 months. Sorry, Lucasfilm, you were right. These were rumors. We were wrong. We won't do it again. All right. So as we try to round up a little bit, so let's talk about. I'm gonna skip the last one before we go to to the Bad Batch. Well, let's talk about Galactic Star Cruiser. We talked a little bit about this before we started, and the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser. We got a first look the Halcyon, which is the Star Cruiser. This Star Cruiser is an immersive 2-day experience, very similar to a cruise. It's opening next year. It's going apart from taking you to Batu, which is in Galaxy's Edge, guests will be able to wield a lightsaber, have dinner in a Corellia-inspired restaurant, and take part in a Star Wars adventure. And here we got our first look at a poster, Galactic Star Cruiser, kind of telling you some of the things you can do. You can help the Jedi, you can play a little sabacc, just go drink in this Corellian bar, be a smuggler. So this is an interactive adventure. This Star Cruiser. It's not just going to a hotel with Star Wars inspired bed. It's a whole adventure that lasts, I think, 2 days and 2 nights. They'll take you to Batu, and if you want, it's not obligated. You can form part of this adventure. I don't have the link, but yesterday there was a 20-minute video that showed up about the making, or not a behind the scenes, but just a round table talking about everything that went putting this Galactic Star Cruiser together and everything that you'll be able to do. So I do recommend you guys to go out there, search for it. I think it's in that Disney blog Twitter feed. You can find it. So Roberto, Galactic Star Cruiser, when are we going?
When we win the $1 million
Yeah,
Mega
exactly.
Million. But it's, oh my god, it sounds so freaking amazing. The things that they show, some of the food, oh, it
Yes.
looks great. They talked about like being a part of this story, that when you get to Batu, you could still be in that story, and it just sounds fantastic. But every time I would think about it, the only thing that would pop into my head was the only way I'm going to experience this is through the YouTube bloggers that
Yeah.
get to go and experience it, because the amount, I don't know if this is correct, but the amount of money that they said, like $1,000 per person to stay, I don't know, I think that was the early estimates, just sounds kind of ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
So we'll wait to what the actual prices are, but I kind of believe that, because even in a regular Disney hotel, the prices are
Yes.
ridiculous. So
Yeah, I
it's
was
just something
lucky
that
enough. I went on a Disney cruise 3 years ago. Around this time, 3 years ago, it's one of the greatest experience that me and my family has had. So I see this very similar. There's gonna be these 2 days, because there's previously they said once you you can't go out, so you're kind of hostage basically. It's not great. I'm sure you can go out if there's an emergency, but I see, okay, this is a cruise. It's a all inclusive, all immersive cruise taking place in a Star Wars Star Cruiser. So I do think it's gonna be in this $1,000 range, because that's unfortunately what a Disney cruise kind of gets you, depending, of course, where you want to go. I think this one was 3 days, or at least it was an extra day. So hopefully it's a little bit less. But I've been trying to check Disney hotels like on the Animal Kingdom, to be looking at the Savannah. They're pretty expensive, and that's for one night. So I can't, everything that they said on that video that you'll be able to do, help people kind of smuggle their luggage into the cruise. And like you mentioned, once you go to Batu, that follows you. You'll see those same people that you help in the Galactic Star Cruiser be on Batu, interact with you.
Mhm.
So it's a really immersive experience, which, okay, if you're gonna pay that much, give me a little bit. And then you'll do some Jedi training with the training remote like Luke and Rey does. That lightsaber, I don't know if they'll let you hold it, that real lightsaber that lights up. Hopefully it doesn't kill anyone. So I do understand. I mean, if you're gonna pay that much to give you something to do, but at the same time, if you just want to relax, you can do that also. Because like I said, I was at Galaxy's Edge last week, almost 2 weeks ago. And as much as I love it, there's hundreds of people there, and everyone's running around trying to do things. So it's hard sometimes to just sit back and relax and look at everything. And like you said, all the bloggers out there, they're going to be with their selfie sticks, taking videos, especially that first year. So how much is it going to feel like a real Star Cruiser? And how much is it an attraction with a bunch of people just knocking around? So that's going to be complicated. And I'm sure they have people thinking about this. And that's when you don't want to spend, if you have a family of four like myself, $4,000 or $5,000 just surrounded by people and not being able to enjoy yourself. That's going to be a little bit tricky, but very excited for this. And like you said, maybe if we get lucky, you guys out there, let's make a big pool. Everyone in the Radio Rebellion family, let's make a big pool, and whoever wins will fight for it, I guess, because I don't know how we're gonna fight it.
Just spread it evenly.
Yeah, we'll spread it evenly somehow, but I do hope we can experience it somehow, even if it's through other people. I just want to shout out real quick, Oti from a podcast, The Star Wars, and Brian from Pink Milk. Made it a little bit late, but thanks for being here. As always, thanks for you for that support. So yeah, you like the Star Cruisers? Anyone out there? If you buy your tickets, tickets, whatever you want to call them, and for some reason you can make it, reach out to Roberto and myself. We'll take them off your hands, so you don't.
We will happily.
We won't pay for them, but we'll give you a shout out on the show or something. All right, so if we've been going for so long, we gotta get to the Bad Batch. So let's talk about the last 4 episodes of the Bad Batch in our Bad Batch recap. If I can get this going, there we go. Bad Batch recaps, episode 11, 12, 13, and 14. So Roberto, have you been enjoying the Bad Batch so far?
I have. I have. Yeah, I really enjoy the show. I kind of really like the characters. It hasn't been the best show for me when it comes to the animations, but it's something that I certainly have enjoyed. Especially the thing that really gravitates me more towards the show is the kind of the transition in between the Republic to the Empire. Mm-hmm. That's the part that I'm really enjoying. So this last episode, I really liked more from this month, actually.
So we're very similar. That's the thing that I really love about this show. It's the growth of the rebellion of the Empire, the way they're just spreading so fast throughout the galaxy.
Mm.
That's what I really gravitate to. That's why I like Crosshair so much in this show. I didn't like him in Clone Wars when he showed up, but I do like him here, especially when he's chasing the Bad Batch and just seeing the Empire grow. But then these last 4 episodes, just real quick, Devil's Deal and Rescue on Ryloth have to do with one of our favorite rebels out there, Hera Syndulla and Chopper. Of course, we also get Champ Syndulla, Hera's mom. And I think the first time we see in live alive, I guess, Eleni. So
Mm.
Hera's mom, we got a little bit with her the first 2 episodes of this month. Then last week it was Infested, which a lot of people didn't like because it kind of took a break for the main action, but show our group kind of helping Sid, she really hasn't been helping them, just sends them out on weird mission. But her parlor was taken over by Roland, this new gangster over there, this Devaronian crime lord. He's gonna give some spice to the Pike Syndicate, which are not the best guys out there. They stole it. Now they have to get it back because not everyone's gonna die. And then War Mantle last week or yesterday, sorry, with what's his name? I just forgot. Gregor. We see the return
Gregor,
of
yeah.
Gregor from Clone Wars and Rebels, and then we, like you said, the Empire. Okay, Camino. Thank you for your clones. Your service are no longer needed. Lamasu, Tonwi, we'll miss you. And then we have that chase. It reminded me a lot of A New Hope. The interior, the music, and it was a good episode. I still have my issues with the show, which I'll mention in a few. But this last episode was pretty good. I did like the two in Ryloth. I know some people started talking about Small Galaxy at that point, but I think it makes sense. The way those 2 episodes were set up, it makes sense that they were done. I did enjoy them. Infested, okay, it's a cool episode just to kind of slow down a little bit. But like you mentioned, in general, you did like those episodes. We have 2 more coming before the end of the season. Anything else about these 4? And then what are you hoping or expecting for the final 2?
Yeah, so I have a little bit of an issue with the small world feel of it. I kind of agree with it a little bit, not to the point where it really affects the way I view the show, but sometimes I do feel that. But the whole Hera, I think, is really interesting to kind of see Ryloth and what it is now to compare to what it was back then, and also seeing the parents. Just a beautiful, gorgeous show. And like every time I see it, it's like, wow, this is just amazing. But the second to last episode, Infested, I actually really like that. I really like that. You see the underground a little bit more. You see the fight between these gangsters in the turf, and I kind of like seeing a little bit more of the criminal underground. So I actually I enjoy that episode more than people did. And yeah, as far as the show overall, I'm waiting for season 2. I think season 2, that's when it's going to start to separate itself from what it is right now, which is kind of like Clone Wars Part 2. So I don't know. I don't know what's the last 2 episodes, but I'm really excited, especially where this one left off, where Crosshair and I can't remember his face. Hunter, yes. Hunter what's their dynamic going to be now that they're face to face. So that's really exciting.
So just to finish up real quick, I didn't feel that the first 2 episodes, especially the first one on Ryloth, kind of made the galaxy smaller, because it wasn't like the Bad Batch was on a mission and then they run into her in the same spot. Yeah, that makes it feel small. So the episode with the Martez sister, even though I like the characters, felt small because why really at the same time, at the same moment, these 2 groups are in that place? That made it seem small. But Devil's Deal, which is mainly on Ryloth and the Bad Batch has really nothing to do, it's a separate story. It's the story of Ryloth and the Syndulla family. And then the Bad Batch was called because they contacted Sid and sent them for these weapons. So it didn't feel small at that point. And then the following one, they had just met the Bad Batch, or Hera met them. She met Omega. It made sense that she called them. So that's why I didn't feel they were small. Infested, okay, was a good episode. Didn't do a lot for me because some of the I think they repeat a lot of the same beats in terms that okay, here's your mission. Oh, I don't want to do it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
too difficult, too dangerous. Omega. Oh, but I think we should. Okay, let's do it. Okay, how many times? Even this last one, they went to this planet, or when Rex called them, hey, this mission, you gotta rescue this clone. I can't say anymore, I gotta go. We don't have enough information to go on it. Where this is a whole new this place that they have is filled with stormtroopers. We're really not gonna. Oh, but if Rex trusts this person, we should help them. Okay, let's go. So it just felt like it's repeating the same beats. Then the
yeah,
episode was pretty good, and then, like you mentioned, then finally they confront themselves again, Hunter and Crosser, and what's gonna happen next is gonna be great. And what I'm gonna say next might get people to hate me out there, just get some hate. But I think there, and nothing against people that like this show. I know for some this is their favorite animated Star Wars, and great for you. I'm really happy for you guys. I don't feel any connection to the characters. So when Hunter was taken hostage at the end of this episode, it didn't do anything for me. When Kanan was taken at the end of season one, yes, I felt something. When Hera is taken season three, I think, yes, or season four, yes, I felt something. I've had a 12 episode or 14 episode at this point with a Bad Batch, and I don't connect with the character, so I didn't have that emotional connection. Oh no, the main Bad Batch or whatever was taken hostage. I didn't feel it. So that's, I think, my problem or my difficulty connecting with the show is because I don't really connect with the characters, and that's why I don't enjoy it as much as the other Star Wars animated show. Will it change? We'll see. So 2 more episodes. I don't know what to expect from them, but I think they're gonna I don't know. We'll see. I think they'll be great. There'll be a good reception behind it because I think it'll follow closely to what this last one was. And I do like that Empire kind of taking over. That's why I really gravitate to. But there has to be something between Crosshair and the Bad Batch. That's what started the season. And they really haven't come to clash because the Bad Batch, I think I was speaking with Maggie, or sorry, I was on their show with the Geeky Waffles a few weeks ago. And there was something like every time they see Crosshair, there's nothing between them. This is your brother that you guys grew up together. Now he's on the other end, and there's really like, whatever. So hopefully they play more into that because then you build those emotion connection with the character. So hopefully we'll get to see that.
yeah. I think you brought a lot of good points, and we'll see where this show goes. Because if it's just this one season, I think it's just no right thing. But if it continues for season 2, season 3, and maybe focus more on on the Bad Batch themselves and their transition from where they were to where they're going, being more civilian, then I think that'll definitely help. But it's a matter of what they'll do from that point. Yeah. But I see what you see. I see what you mean.
Wookie Talk says maybe it's because we've come to expect something bad to happen to heroes. That's something, a possibility. Myself and a lot of others have said, "Oh, what if one of the Bad Batch clones dies? Who's gonna be?" So we always expect something to happen, especially at the end of the season. So maybe we kind of expected it, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. They have to make another season. I don't think they'll spend so much money because even you mentioned you're not too into the animated style. The show itself does look, at least for myself, looks amazing, especially if you compare it to some other animated shows that first season. You can see that the budget for this show was a lot bigger than Rebels, which is my favorite animated Star Wars. That first season, a lot of it was on Lothal with just sand and a lot of the same imagery. Here they've gone to different planets. There's a lot more movement, so they spent a lot of money on this show. And I'm guessing they'll do a second season because I don't think they can just wrap it up in 2 episodes and say, okay, that's it. No. Thank you. They have to be something else. And again, that's the beauty of television. I might not like it today. Next season might blow my mind and it becomes my favorite. So we'll keep watching.
Yeah.
All right. And with that, we get to my favorite part of the show. Is when I hear from you guys out there. We put it always on Twitter, #Rebel Thoughts, when you send us your thoughts on any topic any topic we're discussing or questions about Star Wars and Rebel thoughts. So I don't know why I still have this. Let me get those Bad Batch out of there. Rebel thoughts. And of course, if we have our friend Roberto here, the questions are going to be mostly for him. So we'll start with our friend Andres Alvarez from the 50-Minute Podcast. And he asks, what is Roberto's dream character to draw? What kind of original character would he design to live in a galaxy far, far away? So we got two questions there. Your dream character, and if you could design an original character for Star Wars, who or what would it be?
So let me start with the second one. What original character would that be? You know what? It would have to be a Jedi. Seeing what they're doing with the High Republic, I really absolutely love it. And seeing some of the things that they wear, a little bit more ornate, a little bit more armor-ish, kind of like. So I would like to design what the Jedi used to look like during the Sith War,
Nice.
because I think that's really interesting, because they have this armor that feels like it maybe used to be, a part of their very much like a knight that actually functioned. So it just puts into question whether what were the state of the weapons back then, where the lightsabers in early development were actually armor. They didn't penetrate armor, and armor was effective. And did they grow?
I'm going to stop you real quick, because this goes actually to our next. We'll come back to Andres, but we have our friend Oti, who was just here in the chat from the podcast, The Star One. He has something very similar that you're answering now. It's first, how do I get Roberto to illustrate my comic? And then real question, if you and Roberto could work individually or collaborating in a Star Wars comic or book, what era and character would you both like to tackle? So you're talking about High Republic era, designing a Jedi and their attire. So sorry to stop you there, but I just wanted to bring this question. It kind of goes into what you're talking about.
Oh, so yeah, I thank you for the question. That would be the era that I would really like to. And that would be the same answer for you? Would that be the era that you would like to write in?
So yes. And again, it's what I'm invested right now. And I wrote, and I put it out on Twitter there, a little fan fiction story in Star Wars recently. I just finished it yesterday, actually. And funny enough, it's not in the High Republic era. It's in the era that I'm kind of done with stories with this, after the Fall of the Jedi and Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, which is where the Bad Batch is coming, which I didn't mention before. I'm kind of done with this era. We have Bad Batch, Rebels, Solo, Rogue One. Now we're getting the Kenobi, Andor, which I'm extremely excited for those shows. But I'm done with this era. The story that I wrote is in this era, so I don't know what that says about myself. But it's a bounty hunter that's force sensitive. So he wasn't trained by the Jedi. I'm not gonna spoil. I'm gonna post it out probably next week somewhere that you guys can read it. It's pretty short. But it's this bounty hunter. The Jedi go to doing their seeker, trying to get new Padawans or new apprentices, and then they can't. I'm not gonna. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, before they get sent to Naboo, are in this planet, and then before they can choose who they're gonna take, they get called, hey, you need to go to Naboo, there's a blockade going, you need to be kind of the representative out there. So they leave, and this little kid is never chosen to go to the Jedi Temple. So he's force sensitive, but never gets to train on it, and things happen that he becomes a bounty hunter. So that's the character that I created. I think we all love the Jedi and the Force. I wanted someone out there that wasn't a Jedi, but still had the Force, wasn't extremely Force sensitive, that could control people, but was able to do a little bit of Force push, a little bit of mind control, but his path took him a different way. And that's the story that I created. But if I could officially go back, and who knows, maybe I will at some point, it has to be High Republic, building on what the Jedi were at that point, which I tried to include a little bit in what I wrote. But yeah, give me High Republic. That's what I'm into right now. That's my favorite era at the moment. So it has to be High Republic, and a Jedi that has some sort of conflict with what the Order is saying and what the Living Force is telling them. That's what I'm really excited for. So yeah, it has to be High Republic. That's a winded answer. So.
yeah, it's because that's really exciting. It's challenging what we know as what the Jedi is. So it just makes you wonder what was it before them, and what came before them, and how did it shape. So it's really something that I hope in the High Republic they'll touch upon,
Yeah.
and leave little breadcrumbs like they did with the High Republic with the Star Wars books before.
That'll be cool. All right. So going back to Andres' question was, what dream character would you like to draw?
Right now the dream character that I kind of haven't been drawing, that I want to draw, is Han Solo, but
Oh, nice.
I'm very based on ideas. So I just need an idea that I just need an idea that I want to do for Han Solo, and then because that's a character that I've been wanting to do. I just can't figure out what to do with them.
Do you, as a creative person and an artist, and I don't know, maybe you do it on the side just for yourself, because you think of Han Solo, a lot of people that do art out there like to draw would just go to the classic, he's in the cantina sitting there, and either Greedo comes in or he's with Chewbacca. That's those classic scenes. Is that something you're like, okay, that's fine, but I just wanted to have a different connection to the character, not just to draw something that people would expect?
Yeah, it's exactly that. I don't like to draw, things that happened already. I want to put it in something in a fresh and different perspective, because what's the point of me doing something that's already been done? So I know every fan artist has their own little niche and what they like to do,
Sure.
and I encourage that. Do what makes you happy. But what makes me happy is taking these characters and doing something different with them. So sometimes it takes me a while to figure out what to do, because I've been wanting to do something with Avar Chris, but I haven't figured that out yet. I've been wanting to do something with Han Solo, but I haven't figured that out yet. Padme turn into an Anakin art. So I always want to tackle so many characters, but I just haven't figured out what the idea is.
Yeah, like Brian is saying, I love Roberto's work because it seems to be less about a scene, but speaks more to emotions behind the characters we love. Exactly. So beautiful. Yeah. And then our last question comes from friend Meti at Wonder Meti, and she asks, how do you stay interested and focused while creating bigger and more complex artwork?
This is such a good question, because as artists, we all suffer through finishing a piece, maintaining our focus. But a couple things that I do is, first of all, the art that I do is not to please other people. The art, it has to please me first.
Exactly.
I
Yes.
do art for myself, and whether it gets a big reaction or whether it doesn't matter, because it's for me and it makes me happy. And doing big pieces can wear you down, but you have to. What I do is just focus on little things in the art, in that art piece, that entertains me. And when I did the Thank the Makers, I had multiple scenes that were just made me laugh or made me cry, or I felt something. And a good example of that is having old Ben Kenobi look at the hologram of the character. That was very touching. Having Kenobi react to a burnt Anakin made me laugh. So taking enjoyment out of the work that you're doing is very important. And the last thing that pushes me in order to finish a big piece, especially this last one, is if I'm excited, other people are going to be excited when they see it. So that's also pushing. That only comes to play when I'm feeling it, when I'm like really struggling to kind of finish it. Others want to see what other people react to it. So I think those are my key things that I do to help me stay motivated.
All right. Yeah, it makes sense. It comes back to what a lot of people talk about Star Wars when we get into all these big discussions on Twitter that pull to either side. oh, they gotta do what the fans want or whatever. It's not what the artists want. It's their vision, and we have to respect it. If we like it or not, okay, we get it. But if that's the artist's vision, that's what they wanted to do. Is for them. It's what they want to do. What makes them happy, like you said. This show sometimes I get down a little bit because I didn't get enough views or plays on the audio podcast, and then was I happy doing the episode? Yes. So that's what matters. So it's great to have that acknowledgement that other people love what you're doing, but you have to love it first, because if not, then it becomes a chore and you don't want to do it anymore. It's first what we love doing, and then hopefully others out there will gravitate to it. So with that, I think it's a great point to end the show today. Thank you to our guest, as always, Roberto Venegas, the great artist out there. Roberto Draws. You can follow him on Twitter and everywhere. So, Roberto, I kind of mentioned a little bit, but again, thank you for being here. Thanks to everyone in the chat, as always. But where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter. Well, thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. You can find me on Twitter at Roberto_draws. And you can find me on Instagram on Roberto_draws. So those are the two main things, but I'm mostly on Twitter. So if you want to see some of the process images, that's where you want to. That's where I usually post. So yeah. Thank you for having me again, Roberto.
Yes, always. We've talked about this a little bit. Like I said, every time I see you on the chat, it brings a smile to my face. When you send me a comment or whatever, thank you. You'll find his links down on the description for the show. Also, if you want to help the Katana Cast and their foundation over there with the great work they're doing. And like Roberto mentioned at the beginning, with that great news that he's working on something, Kickstarter out there, animated short. Make sure to support that when it comes out. For myself, as always, if you're watching this show, you know where to find me, but at Radio Rebel Pod on Twitter and Instagram, and you can just Radio Rebellion Podcast at WordPress.com. That's where I have all my book reviews, news. I put my episode out there, and most likely that's where I'm going to be posting my short fan fiction titled Our Sins. Might be there is 3 parts, so I might just post one each day or something. So that's where you're able to find it. And I think with that, great show. Thank you again, Roberto. We'll do this at some point where you have your stuff out there. We'll come back and we'll promote it as always. So thank you, guys. Thanks, Brian, for making it.
Thank you.
Stay safe, be safe, and may the force be with you.